My name is Chris Corvan. Welcome to the Drippin' Creativity Podcast. I am an author, a multimedia producer, and the host of the podcast and creator of the Creative Catalyst Cafe, an online community for creatives of all industries to get together, relax, and have a safe place to do their thing. I started this podcast as a way to showcase each one of my members. And from there, I wanted to branch out locally and meet some of the amazing people around here, starting with our first show with Midnight Gossip, who is in the house. With Geomethus Films right there, walking around doing his thing. And for all those that are currently here Saturday at the Calgary Expo, all four of us are actually going to be hosting a panel on the psychology of storytelling in film, music, and literature. And it's going to be a ton of fun. That is Saturday the 26th at 11:15 p.m., room 211. Make sure to get your tickets and come and check that out along with the rest of the expo. I think a lot of the tickets are already sold out for Saturday. I think there's only some adult ones left. So yeah, grab them now. It's going to be a hell of a time. All right, with that out of the way, our next guest isn't just a producer. He's a sonic storyteller, a rhythm alchemist, and a master of dub-drenched dreamscapes. Hailing from Calgary, Suncatjah is the alias Byron Fredrick. Did I say that correctly?
Fredrick, yep.
Ah, damn it. A musician whose roots run through reggae, soca, funk, and techno, whose live set feels like you're being pulled into the deep end of a cosmic echo chamber. You like that?
You're hired.
Ah, there we go. He's performed at festivals across Canada, collaborated across continents, and crafted a sound that is both retro-futurist and deeply human. Tonight, we're going to dive into the mind behind the machines. Suncatjah, how you doing today?
Really good, thanks. Yeah, you're super hired to write my next PR.
I'll take it.
I really need the help.
You know what? So many people do. We actually have somebody who's really good at helping with PR and stuff like that. I'll introduce you after. So starting with the name, Suncatjah there. It sounds like a sunbeam with a sound system. Where did it really come from?
I was just, sitting in my car trying to figure out a cool name for a, electronic dub project, and I put that together. Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought of some shit.
No, I just seriously, I just try to think of a cool moniker that I'd like, and hopefully that other folks would like it too. And a lot of reggae bands that I've listened to in the past, like it's would always kind of end the thing in Jah, and always kind of dub the name Suncatcher, Suncatcher Catamarans or whatever, and then it just hit me, Catamarans, electronic, dub.
It all flows so nicely.
Yeah.
It all flows so nicely there. Okay, let's kind of jump something here. I would like you to describe your music using 3 textures.
Can I hire you for this one, or?
Slip me a 20. We'll see what we can do here.
Oh, textures.
Jeez. Yeah, I know. Oh man, making you think on this one. Man.
Smooth.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if I can pick 2 others after that. That's tough. Smooth, firm.
Yeah. Okay.
This is why I need to hire you.
And pleather. Just say pleather and move on.
Yeah, pleather.
There you go. Pleather. Excellent. Moist. Not moist. We're not doing any moist.
Come on, man.
Come on. No. So what?
Podcast here.
So what kind of made you realize that this is what you were meant to do? What was your defining moment when you're like, no, I need to do this and I don't care about anything else?
Okay, finally a easy question. It's an old story. Some of the folks here that know me already know this story, but I was playing in a reggae band called Struggler, and we were doing stuff at gigs in town, and we got a gig in Montreal for the International Reggae Festival. And at the same time, I was, a closet producer, always into synths and keyboards and stuff like that. And I was trying to make Cubase go like, if only I could break up my songs so I could play them live, that would be wonderful. And then I was slowly discovering Ableton, And for just out of complete freaking fluke, when we were there, we're flying out, and I just read on my beats per minute nerd magazine, Richie Hawtin's playing Metropolis. This is fantastic, right? And then so I get there, and then I slowly realized it was, I think, MUTEC, the fourth iteration of MUTEC, the Music Technology Arts Festival there. And Montreal was like crawling with like live PA artists, including Robert Henke, who invented Ableton, all that. So when I was playing like the reggae shows in the night, I would go and my off time I would go and catch these other shows that were happening, and then I knew I after that weekend I quit the band and knew I had to focus on what was happening in that live PA scene and my own love for dub and electronic. So figured it out.
That's awesome. So what kind of struggles did you end up facing, like coming right out of the gate there?
Ooh, in what way? In terms of just figuring out what I wanted to do, or I guess
I'm kind of thinking more like just starting out, going in a different direction than what you were originally doing there. Was there anything that really caught you off guard that you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that?
I guess number one, technically getting myself sorted, but that was 2004, so that's a long time ago. So I think I'm sorted now on the technical end, and just slowly evolving it as with other tools and apps and things that I want to use. But there was that, and then just figuring out how to play live and where to play live as an electronic live artist, because I was new to that, right? I was came up playing in rock bands and soca and reggae bands, so I knew how that scene worked, but I was an outsider to like the electronic and DJ scene, and which is where where live PA artists live. They're either playing like live electronic bands, or in evolved scenes like in the rest of the world it'll be like DJ, live PA, DJ, live PA, DJ, live PA, DJ, and that's the night or whatever. That's probably like a whole weekend. And they're dating themselves. No, I'm just kidding. But you catch my drift, right? So it was like how to integrate in that scene, and which was we're still at the start of that. Yeah.
So were you able to find a mentor or anyone like that to kind of help, or were you kind of doing it all yourself and making it up as you go along?
I think it was at the beginning. It was on my own. You know what I mean? Once in a while, you'd hear a story about some guy who tried to lug all his synths to a show and play it, and then gave up, and then went back to DJing because it was too freaking hard, right? But
that's actually a fantastic point right there. Like, was there a point where you're like, I don't know if I can actually keep doing this?
No, I when I figured out when I discovered Ableton and watched all those gigs at that game-changing event in Montreal at MUTEC. We'll just say it's MUTEC 4. I don't know if it is MUTEC 4.
This is on the internet forever.
Yeah,
you know that,
yeah.
right? Like,
I'm sure it was MUTEC 4.
100% sure.
What was the question again?
We'll just move on. We'll move on. It's okay.
No, it was a good answer. I had something locked and loaded, but then we started joking.
Did you have? Wait, was it the mentor one? See, now you got me all messed up here.
I think it was the mentor thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was watching those guys do it, and then asking really the dumbest question I asked was I forget, it was it was on St. Helens Island. I'm like, excuse me, what platform do you prefer, PC or Mac for, live PA? And the guy just said, dude, I don't get involved in computer politics, man. And then took off. And that was my answer. So I knew that was okay. That was the mentoring.
So then thinking about that one there, like when it comes to anybody asking you questions, like do you actually kind of go out of your way to make sure you're giving your best answer, or do you just kind of go, I don't know?
Oh no, to be fair, dude did give me a good answer, because it doesn't matter, right? Laptop, Groovebox, modular, it's all okay, right? No one cares except what's coming out of the PA.
Music maker.
For the most part, except for people who are super interested in the live process.
I'm sticking with music maker. I don't care.
That's
all right.
music groovebox or music maker. I can't remember.
Where was I? There we go. You straddle the dubstep and techno line there. How did you decide when a track leans one way or another, or does it just kind of flow out of you?
I'll course correct that. Maybe straddle the dub and techno lines. Yeah, dubstep. I'd say it was
Yes, that was
one
me.
thing. And but side discussion. I'm super interested in those sound textures, and I have a permanent sticky on the side of my desk to get more into Serum, but I haven't got there yet. But I really do want to get there. But how do I decide? I mean, I guess mainly it's tempo that will decide it. You know, if I'm doing something slow and grooved out, that's dub. And if it's more up tempo, four on the floor, it's either going to be more of a, you know, loosely in the dub techno spectrum. So I think it's about cadence, pace.
When you're actually going into creating a song there, how do you start it? Does it start with the sound in your head, or are you just hitting the button and seeing what comes out and building it from there? Is it a mathematical equation where you get like all the numbers flying at you?
Yeah, I get on GP.
Great.
No, it's mainly just melody. I start with the melody, you know, and I think that's why I gravitated to, I'll say this loosely instrumental music. Like there's some vocals, but for me, it's all about the melody. Even my favorite, you know, vocal tracks, you know, I barely know the lyrics, right? It's just about the melody or groove. That's how it starts. You know.
So out there, excluding anyone in Oscillate or around town, who are some people you want to work with?
Ooh, I mean, as a producer, I'm constantly, you know, listening to other artists I want to work with, whether it's, you know, I would say largely vocalists, because, you know, I'm super into collaborating on that, as well as make other instrumentalists that are inspiring. You know,
Is that something you want to actively reach out, or are you waiting for them to come to you?
I would say I've never broke out of the actively reach out stage at this point.
We got to push you, man. We got to get you out there.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it right here.
Maybe someday. You know what? To be fair, sometimes someone reaches out and says, "Hey, how about doing a remix?" You know, that's a thing unto itself, and I'm happy to do that. You know, a long time ago, I decided that I would only work on remixes for purely the interest in the collaboration, or you know, the output of it in terms of art. Because I've spent some time in like working in like you know, remix, you know, remix like sweatshop, for lack of a better word. That's no fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
We know that one.
At the time, I was grateful for the opportunity, but at the end, you know, you work 40 hours on a remix to have it deselected, and you know, that's
I
gets old soon.
Really, what it boils down to is music sweatshop is going to be the clip. I'm sorry, that's just how it's going to go. Right there. There is nothing
I'm
there.
Suncatjah. I work in a music sweatshop, and I hate myself.
Don't understand. Let's say Dancers in the Sky became a short film. What do you think the opening scene is going to be about?
Opening scene? Well, it was. It's technically a re-rub of a work from an artist that now lives in Portugal. He's an awesome guy, Enoch, who used to be, well, or still is part of Oscillate. Still is. Yeah. So in my view, would be like choose scene, and it's some like awesome beach surf picture of the Nazaire.
Is that something that you'd actually be interested in working with a screenwriter to do, kind of taking some of your tracks and actually creating multimedia stuff?
Yeah, possibly. I think that could either be like a specific project, or if they just someone wanted to like utilize the body of work that created, or in the midst of creating, that would be cool too. You know, so all the above.
Okay, so we are actually almost at the halfway point. We're going to be moving into the Oscillate people here soon.
Fantastical.
But just to kind of wrap it up here, what do you hope people feel when they walk away from one of your sets?
I hope they come away just feeling that they listened to a really good show, you know. Just like that same thing, like when I go see someone or a performance, I'm hoping that it's gonna, I'm gonna enjoy the set and, be inspired at some level, whether it's just that of a great listening experience or, as a musician, there's always a takeaway. Usually if I see something I like, it's gonna make me wanna, go and be inspired to create my own shit,
Huge fan of that. And then as we move into the transition, how did you get involved in Oscillate Collective?
Oscillate was the output of two things. Oh, and this goes back to one of your other questions about it was me reaching out to other artists, because once, first it was kind of like a solo solitary experience, and slowly I bumped into folks like Leif or, even Enoch, and, fast forwarding to more folks like Anthony and Matt, all those folks, Cloves, who was doing stuff, and I was booking them into a night I was running out of Kava Cafe called the Electric Cafe. And so we were doing that, and then from there, we attended, help me out, ANCON, or one of the RIP, one of the last couple of ANCONs that took place, and then we decided that, hey, we're doing this, let's kind of legitimize it and, become a collective, and from there, that branched into a nonprofit, so we could have, strengthen our integration with all the other infrastructure that's out here, namely, and by infrastructure, I mean funding, so to kind of drive events. So it went from solitary guide making art in obscurity to, collective.
Absolutely awesome. Well, thank you so much for everybody watching online there. Where can people find you and your music?
I think the best place would be on your major streaming platforms, and also just look for my stuff on SoundCloud. That'd be the best.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Suncatjah.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Give it up, give it up, give it up. All right. Now we're going to take a second here to bring up some members of the Oscillate Collective. Please join me on stage, whichever ones you are coming here. We've got 3 spots. Now, if you have been anywhere near Calgary's underground scene in the last few years, you have felt the pulse. Oscillate isn't just a collective, it's a creative engine, a family of electronic musicians and visual artists who are reimagining what performance looks like, feels like, and how it moves us. From DIY workshops to immersive audio-visual shows to their flagship Sync conference, Oscillate is building more than events, they're building culture. And tonight we're going to talk to a bunch of these people. How are we doing tonight, people?
It's great. Fantastic.
Excellent. We're not even going to bother with introductions with Suncatjah. Let's move on. Give yourselves an introduction to what you do for Oscillate.
I'm Leif Olsen, a.k.a. Loki, that strange bass layer. I'm El Presidente to Oscillate. Been involved since the start and happily kind of shepherding a lot of what we do here.
Perfect.
My name's Charles, probably the newest member of Oscillate, perform around under moniker Ina Clanachana and Underground Wires, depending on the context. And yeah, I watched this organization kind of from the sidelines for a couple of years, and yeah, excited to see where we can take it in the future.
My name is Anthony Appleby. I perform under the name Room Elephant. I'm a board member and the secretary. And yeah, we've just been working together for a while, putting things together.
You put a lot of emphasis on that. The secretary. I am less
A lot of
secretary.
flourish. I don't know.
So you have to
started
say
talking
every
that way, and
time.
I just had to follow it through.
All right, so let's start with a simple question here. You're going to get it on. You kind of answered this one. You go in. You're fine. What drew you to Oscillate Collective initially, and why not just keep going solo?
Well, a lot of what we've been doing sort of came out of the Studio Social and of Habitat Living Sound. And that notion of giving people a platform and a space to share what they've been working on privately and creatively. The original Studio Social was about bedroom producers and bringing people into the woodwork. but we really realized there weren't a lot of venues for live performers, especially live electronic performers. You'd either get DJs or you'd get live bands, and never the twain mix. And so when we started doing shows together and finding spaces that could accommodate live shows and audiences that sort of understood and got what we were doing, it was just really remarkable to be able to have that position and a chance to share something that's created live rather than sort of meticulously crafted behind the scenes, something that really was emerging out of the moment. And we started doing a few shows together and realized, well, this is working. We should really find more space and more time and more energy to do this. And just that chance to show people what's possible and get them on board and get them doing their own thing.
Grab some waters. Thank you. Appreciate you. You're my favorite person here. All right.
Sure. I'll just to build on that a little bit. I think for me, Leif, you touched on it, that a lot of the live music scene is sort of focused around bars and kind of loud and a certain type of evening, whereas, you know, I think that Oscillate has really got to focus on sort of like spaces that have like a real audiophile sort of appeal. So like a place like here, it has, you know, unreal acoustics and technology and speakers. Things like the Sync Festival and some of the events that Oscillate puts on, you know, there's a lot of care that goes into, you know, bringing our own PA to the rooms, and we kind of have a whole group that's just focused on the technological side. Another cool thing about Oscillate is the focus on sort of live visuals, because there's tends to not be vocalists or sort of that sort of talent in the live shows. There's a space that's kind of created for live visuals, and so that's a whole other community that we've been able to kind of combine and create some pretty unusual, unique experiences.
I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. I started off kind of from a jam band kind of context. Me and my buddies would just get high and play music.
Yes!
And it was
now
really,
we're
really
getting
fun.
to the good shit.
And so I started using a live electronic stuff and using Ableton with my live with my band, and it wound up being too much for the band, because it's too many frequencies, because there's no room for the other people. And I tried to learn from that, but you know, it's one of the great skills of live PA is less is more important. What frequencies to pull at. A funny story of how COVID, for example, shut things down, and I was sad, and I lost two of my band members, including my best friend. Moving, not they didn't die. It's not dark.
Yeah.
It's not.
Wasn't quite sure where that one was going, not gonna lie. Anyways, moving on.
I'm telling the story is an emotional roller coaster. But anyways, I was sad because the band ended. I started doing solo stuff, and again, I wanted you asked Byron a little bit about how he has contributed, and I wanted to tell this little story because I heard about the event that you folks put on Suncatjah, I think it was that Electric Cafe, right? And I brought my gear and I said, hey, can I? And I did a little set, and it was absolutely awful. And I was all like, oh my god, and this thing went wrong and that thing went wrong. But I don't know if you remember this, Byron, but you helped me unload stuff that day, and to load it back into the car. And you said that was a good job. You said you're at the right level to start playing out in public. That's great, right? It was this really lovely, authentic kind of, it wasn't over the top. It was, yes, you're doing the right thing. And I went, fuck yeah. And I kind of knew I was with my people. And then again, the people wanted to be really nice. The community was small and supportive. And I just gravitated towards it, you know.
So really, it was just all about the people, and it drew you right in.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Get some love in there.
Okay. I will also add to that, when I lost my band members,
don't do this again. I'm gonna have to clip that one now. Jeez.
But this is a true story. I was really sad. I was like, those of you who are musicians, you know the emotional connection you have with your band. So they're my collective cohorts, but also my friends, right? And I was sad that I lost them, and so I gained some friends here.
Aww, that's so sweet. Okay, here we go. Let's get into some quicker questions here, as we're already at 7:40. What is the craziest setup you've ever done? Bonus points if it involves duct tape.
Well, I think the most viscerally memorable set we did was New Year's Eve 2 years ago at the Evolved Movement Arts, and we had sort of set the whole place up. The Ionic sound system, which is just an amazingly great system to play on, and then set it up boiler room style with about 5 electronic artists, a drummer, and a keyboard player, and then our buddy Jay in the middle on the mixer with a big shit-eating grin on his face, right? And it just sounded so good. It was such a diverse range. There was a psytrance party going upstairs, and then people would come down like, "What are you guys doing down here?" And yeah, like just the flow and ebb of that night was great, and just the density of stuff and cables running everywhere and EL wire on the walls, and yeah, I think we blew a lot of minds there. It was great fun.
Any others? No? We're all good with this one?
Well, I mean, I think I'm really proud of how Sync has progressed and started out being this wonderful venue at the Masonic Temple, which is a really crazy venue, and it wound up being quite popular. And I thought that last year's Sync was, in a lot of ways, it was really quite a remarkable thing. It was pretty close to what we had hoped it would be, and then we built on that, right?
The high water mark.
Yeah.
That venue was Festival Hall, and that was unreal as well. The acoustics in there, top notch, and a lot of again cool community vibe, lots of different performers and types of art going on. So those little dancers and visuals was great.
Excellent. And speaking of Sync, we've got to talk about Sync 2025. So who wants to give me the elevator pitch for that one?
Well, really, I mean, Sync is our opportunity to bring Alberta electronic artists out of the woodwork, bring people together, and really bridge a lot of gaps between a lot of communities, both within the province and then within all of Canada. We'll be at the National Music Centre this year in Chala, and we're really looking forward to just bringing together just a really diverse range of artists to come together and learn and share and really express something utterly unique to themselves.
And I will just add too that amongst those communities is the community of electronic sound and music, electronic video and image, and filmmaking and other kind of ancillary fields too. So I think that's really unique.
So when it comes to Sync, and not just for the electronic industry there, how do you go about kind of pushing it to all the different genres of music there and get more people from different genres in?
Oh, we don't have problems with that, actually. And again, what I kind of love about the art of live PA or live electronic music is every single rig and setup looks totally different. Like, I don't know half of the devices that, I know basically what he's working with, but but most people, you can look at just about any of their setup and go, I don't know what that does. I wouldn't know how to do that. And the music that people create is equally unique. And so it really does run the gamut of really chill stuff, ambient, dub, dubstep sometimes even, not here, but dancey stuff, house, techno, it runs the gamut. So, it is all electronically created, but aside from that, it really does run the gamut.
And one thing I want to highlight too is that the part of the Sync Festival or show is that there's a workshop session in kind of between the 2 days, and that's another way that different creatives can kind of collide with each other. So, you know, I got to see, you know, we landed some pretty amazing headliners last year. They did some cool, as people that have been touring musicians for, gosh, 20 years or whatever, we've learned a lot from Daedalus, but also we got to learn a lot about this live video stuff. So if there's an interest that you might have, but you don't know where to start, kind of back to the music experience we talked about, Byron. You know, there's opportunities like that where you can walk into a room. It's kind of like a classroom setting and learn about live video and how that works, and kind of dip your toe in it, and then maybe it turns into a new direction to go into.
And I believe there was something about an EPK blueprint there. And I'm pretty sure a band had just released a song around that point, available on Spotify. So check it out. Anyways, as we kind of gear up and round out this one here, I really want to push Sync 2025 because I was at 2024 and it was an amazing event. Recording the interviews sucked with that room. The audio on that was really bad, and it still bothers me to this day how bad
there's
that room
lessons
was.
to be learned for all of us, right?
It hurts me. Anyways, huge fan, and I can't wait to check this one out here. So I really want to make sure we're getting across to everybody watching here what exactly it is and why they should come. Suncatjah, you're going to start this one because you've just been sitting there doing nothing.
Just taking it easy. Get back to work. I think the big why for me is kind of what you mentioned. It is an interdisciplinary event in terms of visual art and styles. You know what I mean? God bless, you know, festivals that have one kind of music going on, but I've, in my opinion, one of the points about Sync is that it's it's multi-genre in terms of the style of music as well as how it's made, how all the art is made. Right? Is that okay?
Was that okay, boss? Was that okay?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it's about bringing a lot of different kinds of artists together, putting them in context that they wouldn't normally find themselves, and really making it something special. You know, from a chance to meet and interact with people, to a chance to come together and dance, to a chance to learn how to do this yourself. I think there's a lot of wonderful opportunities.
Yeah, I think this year what I'm excited about for Sync 2025 is, again, the venue is really world class. You know, the Studio Bell and the National Music Center. Kind of a cool experience for local artists and musicians actually put on an event in a world class space like that, and to get to do that. And so we need lots and lots of people from the community to come and support and make it happen. Just I think that it would be a dream if we could get, you know, close to I don't know exactly how many tickets or spots it would be, but you know, if we could get 80-90% sold, that would be fantastic.
5,000.
There you go.
It's a good number.
What I want to do is reiterate what you talked about just there and what you'd mentioned previously, the sense of community.
Yeah.
Like, I remember one point on one of the nights, just simply walking through the crowd, and there was, I mean, it was this beautiful sight. There's crazy good visuals going on. There was top, you know, world-class music happening. There was go-go dancers on the side. But beyond that, and almost overshadowing that, was the shit-eating grins on everyone's faces. Like, you just walk around and everyone's, and you know, I might know a few people in the crowd that might go, awesome show, really so good, this is so great, man, this is so wonderful, how's it going? Like, just that sense of community. And you talk about not only, like, the whole thing, it snowballs because it's you're feeling part of the community, then you want to give it back to the community, and then when you give back to the community, you're volunteering maybe as an organizer, you're maybe contributing as a performer, maybe you're bringing friends in, and it's this beautiful amorphic a glob of something that kind of just grows and gets more powerful and fruitier.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, we are going to wrap this one up. All right. This is what we're going to do. Focus. Pay attention. You got this. All right. Where can people find you and your music?
Well, through Oscillate.ca, of course, but my Bandcamp is lokey.bandcamp.com, LOKEY.bandcamp.com, and that's got everything I made in the last 15 years or so up.
Perfect.
I'd say Instagram is probably the thing I'm most constantly on, probably too much. Underground.wires, at underground.wires, you can find me, and on the Oscillate website.
My website is roomelephantlive.com, and I'm on all of the standard sites as well.
Perfect. And Suncatjah, why don't you let us know where to find everything about Oscillate?
Is it a trick question? Probably at oscillate.ca. That would be us, right? Or is it .com? .ca.
What are the
Yeah,
socials?
that's where it all starts.
What about Facebook? What about Instagram? Come on.
Yeah.
I'm picking on you. Is really what's happening.
Oscillate Collective.ca. Or on Facebook. Yeah.
Don't pick on me.
I'm sorry, man. You were just sitting there all relaxed and comfy.
Before me.
Okay, we are going to wrap this up right now. We're going to go to a short intermission, and then we're going to have a live performance by Suncatjah. To everybody watching online, thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Dripping Creativity Podcast. I am your host, Chris Corvan. Make sure to follow everybody here. This has been an amazing time. We will see you next time. Stay creative, stay inspired. See you around.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
All right.